Last year in October, as I got ready to celebrate my birthday month, I realized that October 2nd was no alcohol day. And me being me was really happy about that and wanted to celebrate it. And so I ordered from the brand that sent me this little email notification telling me about this day, and that was Drink Dry Store, founded by Erika Doyle. Now, she tells me more about all that on Karishma Connect. How it all happened? Well, a WhatsApp reconnection. And I'm so happy we reconnected because this episode is straight from the heart to the point. She is super amazing as a guest, and she tells me so much about the brand, about finding it, about being able to deliver impact, and quite significantly, because in the past 1 year or so I have seen no alcoholism become more accepted in the society, at least in the UAE, thanks to brands like Drink Dry. So she tells me more about doing that. She tells me about what all you experience when you go down the no alcohol route, and I completely stand by each one of them. And I'm just so happy to be covering this topic because it's meant a lot to me over the years. So go check it out, and until the next one, stay tuned. This is Karishma. I'll be back every Sunday and Thursday. I hope you enjoy. Lots of love. Thank you so much, Erica, for joining me on this episode of Karishma Connect. It's a pleasure to have you. I can't wait to explore more about a brand that I have closely followed in the past couple of years and quite seen set the foundation for a new narrative when it comes to the beverage industry here. So, looking forward to knowing more from you.
Thank you so much for having me. And I know that you are a customer. I had your number saved in my phone as Karishma Drink Dry, so I knew that you are a customer. So it's an absolute pleasure to be talking to you.
But that's the kind of impact that you have driven, I think, for those who aren't aware of it or those who have been engaging with Drink Dry. I'm sure they've seen those emails come in and, the kind of information that you share through it. I think you've developed that huge amount of consumer connect, and that has helped. Was that something, before I get into your journey, even I would like to ask, was that something intentional from the beginning when you set up this brand?
I think the word intentional isn't necessarily the right one here. I think it was true to what I was trying to do. It came from personal experience. The reason I started Drink Dry, I was simply a frustrated consumer whose needs were not met. So I wasn't following the trend. I was just I was doing it for me, really, more than anything else. And I was just convinced that there's got to be somebody else out there who needs this. So I think once we formulated it into a business plan and into a business idea and into a brand, then it felt only natural to follow that path because, I am Drink Dry. I started it. It's my idea. We are now a team of 15 people, but only 2.5 years ago, 2.5 years ago, it was just me. I was everything. I was order processing. I was website developer. I was everything. I mean, I was from A to Z. So it felt natural that continued for us. And I think that in this day and age, people are thoughtful and they want to know where they're spending their money.
Right.
Buying non-alcoholic drinks, it's not a necessity. It's not milk. It's not your groceries. It's not your food. It's not paying your DIWA bills. It's not paying for your mobile phone. It's a luxury that you afford yourself as a treat.
Right.
So for people to part with their hard-earned money, it needs to have a purpose. You need to connect to them. And I think it's much easier for people to support a small business where there is a real person behind it working really very hard
Yes.
to make it work. People connect a lot more with that than a big corporate trying to do something because it brings that purpose. So for us, it was always the USP was there. This is how Drink Dry started. This is why Drink Dry started. And it felt only natural to continue with that.
And then tell me something about the journey leading up to that. What brought you where you are today, and what makes it so special to be here?
Um, so look, my husband has been in the drinks industry for a very long time.
Okay.
And we love socializing, we love hosting people. I'm a very sociable human being and always have been. And you know, it came to, I think it was about 2014 where we got married. We were trying to start a family, and for various reasons, it kind of wasn't happening for us. And we were given great advice by our doctor to say, look, you know, change your lifestyle a little bit. Um, exercise a bit more, eat a bit better, go for a run every now and again, and, you know, cut back on unhealthy habits. So that Friday night cigarette or that bottle of wine on Saturday, you know. And so we did, because we had this higher purpose, higher goal to have a baby or two or three. And we did. And then that's kind of, I think the timing was key, because at that point we were living in the UK, and the whole trend, as you've referred to it, started from the UK, really. And we were the early guinea pigs of that. We were the people who, you know, I remember first discovering a brand called Seedlip when nobody else knew about it, when Ben Branson was still making like small batches before Diageo bought him, and serving it at our dinner parties as something really phenomenal and really exciting. So naturally, it became a hobby of mine, and almost an obsession that I was actively seeking out time and time again. Like if I had a spare moment, I was no longer looking on shopping website. I was looking new brands in non-alcoholic industry, and, you know, what other brands were coming up. So I developed this kind of like a whole wealth of knowledge. I got to know the founders of these companies, because they were just these normal human beings who were literally cooking up a liquid in their kitchen at home and selling it on Amazon or selling it through farm shops in England. And when I used to connect to them, they're like, oh my gosh, you are an actual human being who buys my drinks. I'm so flattered. So I started building this network around me with these like kooky founders making these weird drinks. And it was a really exciting time. And I think it was about 2 or 3 years into my non-drinking journey that we moved to the UAE. And then when we came here, I realized how far behind the Middle East was. There was the trend wasn't even on the horizon. Nobody had heard about non-alcoholic drinks. There was nothing in the market that resembled the drinks that I was familiar with and the things that I was buying. So I think after about so this is 2019. And for about 6 to 12 months, I complained a lot to my husband and whinged. And, prices of alcohol are high here. And most people ask their friends and family who are traveling to Dubai to bring them a bottle of nice wine. I was always asking people to bring a bottle of non-alcoholic spirit for me, or wine, or something that's non-alcoholic. So I whinged and I complained for a good while. And then my husband just said, look, well, just do something about it. You know, we've been in the drinks industry for a long time. You've got a lot of contacts. You know this particular segment. You know the people. You've known them for a long time. Like, you know the category. You understand how every product is made, because you actually spoke to the founders even before they were known. And do something about it. So it came from here. It was a hobby. It was a passion. I was really interested about it. And doing it as an online e-commerce platform made sense, because what else am I going to do? You know, I had 2 kids, I think aged 2 and 1 at that point, maybe 3 and 2. They were very little. And I got pregnant with my 3rd one as I was embarking on my drink dry journey. And it made sense to start online, you know. And that was it. And that's when the kind of drink dry was born. And I was really, really fortunate that in the really early days, I asked a really good friend of mine to become a co-founder with me. So she looks after the e-commerce part. And this is where I had no idea what I had to do. And we are good friends in our personal life, but in business, we're very different. You know, she's very kind of like back of house. She loves the e-commerce world that I now love and know. But when we first started, I had no idea. I was just the face of the company, and I had all this knowledge about the category, and she had all this knowledge about e-commerce. So she could have built an e-commerce for anything and I just gave her the information. So we formed a really good team.
Yeah.
And yeah, and this is how it kind of all started.
And that's true because I've had founders on the show who have, co-founded their businesses, and they've said the same thing to me that, one balances off the other because there are some skill sets that are available in one person, but when it combines with the right partner, you kind of evolve into a successful business because you're balancing it out.
You know what I actually did before I started it? And I didn't come up with this. Somebody either told me or I read it somewhere. But I sat down and I made a list of things that I'm good at
Mm,
and the things that I'm not good at,
yeah.
And I wanted an e-commerce business, but I had no idea anything about e-commerce. So I just sat and I thought, who is the person that knows more than I do in this particular space? And her name came up
Yeah.
and I think I I salute and I commend people who start a business on their own as
Mm,
a single founder, because I think it must be a really lonely place. It must be a really challenging place. Even though my co-founder, she's a silent partner, she's kind of like not out there. I'm the face of the brand, but she's only a WhatsApp message away.
mm,
We are in constant contact. I now have a couple of amazing people who have been part of the journey in my team for the last 3 years. And I consider them co-founders as well,
yeah.
because they joined the business as employees at the beginning, but they know the business as well as I do because we built it together,
Very true.
So I'm the founder, but I have a lot of people around me who know the business as well as I do, have the same love and passion for what we do, believe in what we do. And it's a much nicer place to be, because if it's a hard decision to make, it's good to have people around you that you can say, what do you guys think?
Mm,
Let's check in with each other. What do we think? And then you make a decision. Sometimes you have to go against everybody else's opinion because you believe that your decision is the right one. But it's good to have that sounding board. I think I always look at founders who are doing it on their own,
mm.
and I just think they must have really incredibly strong personalities to do that, or they must feel very lonely behind the closed doors.
Very true. Very true. And then tell me, you started at a time, like I said, I'm pretty familiar. 2020, I think, is when I got, associated with Drink Dry. And that was the time when I think you started, and then the pandemic also came in, right? And then it
Correct.
was also the time when, like you mentioned, this wasn't a trend. From whatever little bit of awareness that I have, being a teetotaler myself, Drink Dry for me was that setting stone in terms of this trend within UAE at least. What were the challenges and opportunities that you faced at the time, and how have you seen that kind of evolve now in the current reality?
Oh my gosh, the challenges were there were many from the very, very basic part. There were very few products available worldwide that
Mm,
we were able to even consider shipping into the UAE.
mm,
So when you talk about the non-alcoholic drinks trend, in the UK, Europe, US, you're talking about the products that are below 0.5%,
mm,
right? You,
mm,
you, you can have a sourdough bread that has a little bit of alcohol. You can have orange juice that has a bit of ethanol, but these things are not tested and they're sold as normal. Now, in the UK, Europe, and US, anything below 0.5% is considered alcohol free.
mm,
Therefore, there are a lot of brands, and it's a lot easier to make something that you can let it ferment just for a little while and then you cap the fermentation.
mm,
In the UAE and the wider GCC, it's a complete 0.0. There is no 0.5, it's 0.00. So
mm,
to find products globally that were hitting that 0.0 mark, but were genuinely of high quality, because I benchmarked it against what I would drink as a consumer. So if I bought this from a different place, would I be happy and would I go back and repurchase it, regardless of the price, regardless of where I bought it from? But is the liquid inside this product good enough for me to enjoy it, serve it to my friends, and reorder it again?
mm,
So this was challenge number one. When we launched, and this is, I'm not even joking, when we launched Drink Dry Store in, I think it was December 2020, officially launched it, we had 5 products on the website. 5. That was it. And I remember we had a non-alcoholic beer, we had a sparkling wine, and we had 3 non-alcoholic spirits. That was it, 5 products. And then I think within 3 weeks, we added another 2. And then like every 6 weeks, we were adding another 1, maybe another 2. But imagine having, and we called ourselves a marketplace with 5 products. And we used all the tricks in the hat to merchandise the website. So we created a 6-pack, a 12-pack, a 24-pack. So we had at least like different products looking on the website. So this was a challenge number 1, that there weren't products. It was so new that we couldn't even get the products out there. I think challenge number 2, we were just coming out of COVID. So anybody who's in the world of logistics and shipping, it was incredibly difficult to get placed on ships to actually ship something. And, big companies were struggling to get a place on the ship to put the container. Forget about a company that is one-man band. So that's challenge number 2. And I remember I used every contact. I used my whole phone book, unashamedly, to ask for people's helps and favors to ship 1 or 2 pallets from Belgium to UAE, or sometimes Belgium to somewhere else, and then somewhere else finally to UAE. So that was a real kind of challenge. And I didn't have experience in logistics, it was completely new to me. And I think kind of looking more locally, nobody was interested. Really, like the retailers weren't interested. You'd only get a meeting if somebody helped you get a meeting. It was more like a courtesy thing that somebody would do for you, if you knew a friend of a friend maybe was a manager at a bar somewhere or a hotel or restaurant, and they would be like, okay, as a favor to you, I will meet her. And they would meet you, and you've got all these products and you're trying to show them, and you can see that they just can't wait for you to get out, because they're not going to list it. They're not interested. They don't see the point of doing it. So it took a lot of, I think that for me was the hardest thing, because I'm not a salesperson. I think we sell ourselves every single day. Like I'm selling myself to you right now. You selling yourself to me, we sell ourselves at work. We sell ourselves to our neighbors, but I'm not a salesperson in that true sense. So when I go to meet somebody and it's a cold feeling, it really knocked me, and it really kind of go, what am I doing? Like, what am I thinking? Is this ever going to work? Have I got some sort of blinkers on? What am I doing? And I think that was really, really hard and challenging as well.
I think you have also revealed 3 key, sort of guiding points for entrepreneurs, because you started with 5 and you kept going. You believed in it. You also networked your way out through that. And then, despite everything that you faced, you were resilient, or you kept believing that there was something. Do you think those are the 3 key tactics or key things to keep in mind when kind of navigating a similar entrepreneurial journey?
Correct. I think the biggest disillusionment that people have when they think, oh, I want to start my own business. For full disclosure, I never wanted to have my own business. I always was very happy. I don't have an entrepreneurial spirit, I remember kind of like looking at people who have their own businesses and thinking, why would you put yourself through that? Just get a job, be an employee, get a salary at the end of the month, and you don't have to worry about anything. That would have been me, I would have been so happy with that. And I think the biggest disillusionment people have when they think, I'm going to start my own business, I'll get so much freedom, I'll have so much time, I will be able to do what I want, I'll be able to work around the kids, I will be able to do XYZ. It might work sometime down the line when the business is successful. My husband has had his business for 26 years. I think it's fair to say that he's now in that place where he can leave work at 4 o'clock in the afternoon if he wishes to pick the children up from school. He can decide that he will take a day off. He can decide to take extra few weeks holiday, because he's worked for 26 years and he's built it from absolutely nothing. And he now has hundreds of people working for him. That's when you get those rewards, okay? But in those early days, it's just you. It's just you. So that perseverance and that sheer determination is everything. And I think one thing I knew when I was going into this, that if this is the main ingredient for success, then that I've got it. Like, I'm super determined, I'm super determined, I'm super stubborn. That I can do. And I'm not shy to work. I've never been shy to work. I come from a really hardworking family. So work for us, it's something that we wear as a kind of a badge of honor, that we all work hard. We're not shy to work. But it took a lot. It took really, really, really a lot. It took I had 2 young kids. I was expecting. I delivered my 3rd child, and I went back to work 2 days later. I was literally on the phone in the delivery room to one of the retailers, finalizing the contract, and my husband was there with his hands in his head, and he didn't say anything, but it was mine. There was literally nobody else at that moment in time that could have done my job. I didn't have a team. You need to work so hard to get to the point where you can hire one person, because you need to make enough money to hire them, and you are always the last person who gets paid. I didn't get paid for the first year. Only once you start generating enough revenue and enough profits that you can hire another person and another person, and every time you add a new person to the team, you're stretching yourself. So your salary definitely doesn't get paid that month. Only that when that person starts paying for themselves, okay, I can pay myself a salary now, so we're back on track. But then you need to hire another person, and it's a constant thing. So you don't work 9 to 5. You literally work around the clock, weekends, evenings. If you pay yourself much less a salary than you would get for your skill set if you were an employee somewhere. If you divide what you pay yourself to the hours you work, your minimum hourly rate is peanuts. And everything is your responsibility. Every mistake, everything is your responsibility. And the days go from super high to super low, super high to super low. So I think it's you can get there eventually when it starts to pay off, but you've got to be prepared to just close your eyes and just go at it. And nothing can be a moment where you stop. You just cannot allow that thought that I'm not stopping for anything.
Very true. My next question to you, Erika, is tell me about that journey of becoming a mother, but from the perspective of also kind of managing everything at an individual level, because it's an evolution that you're going through at an individual level. You are becoming an entrepreneur. You are on the verge of a new addition to motherhood. You have 2 kids already, and then you're setting up a business. What did that mean, and how did you kind of get through all of that?
I think the most important question here in all of that is why. If you know your why you are doing anything in life, why, then that is always your North Star. When you kind of get lost in the madness and you get lost in the day-to-day and you get lost in the chaos, why am I doing this? And then it helps you ground yourself and come back to it. Okay, this is why I'm doing it, therefore I'm heading in that direction, right? And I think we evolve as people. It's scientific that at certain age, every 3, every 5, every 7 years, we evolve, we change, we adapt. So me at 25 years old when I was getting married is a completely different me to 35-year-old Erika right now. And my first pregnancy and my first child and my kind of entrance into motherhood was very different, because all I wanted was to be a mother. I wanted to be surrounded in baby stuff. I wanted to sit at home, cuddle my baby all day long. I wanted the rest of the world to disappear. I couldn't care less, you know, because this is all I wanted. And I got it and I enjoyed it. And I got pregnant the second time, and then I had my second baby. And I was like getting a bit restless. I was like, no, I'm getting a little bit, you know, I'm going to use the word bored here. This is not like I'm not challenged anymore. I've been in this for a while. Like I'm, you know, what else is out there? How do I come back to society now?
Yeah.
And I think this is where it started, that I wanted to come back to me. I wanted to be interested in things again. I wanted to have something to say to people apart from what I did all day at home, changing nappies, washing clothes, etc., etc. I didn't plan on a third child, you know, we were kind of happy at 2, and then she arrived as a lovely surprise. So I didn't plan on the third one. And Drink Dry that seemed like a natural transition after 2 kids to go into it. And my why was, I married somebody who is 24 years older than me, a very successful businessman. And I wanted to, once I had 2 little girls, I wanted to make sure that when they are growing up, they are seeing a strong, independent, confident woman who is their mother, who is not their husband's wife, their father's wife only, or somebody who would refer to me as my husband's wife. Because this started to happen when I became a mom and I kind of left the society. I became Patrick's wife. I became my husband's wife. This is how people would introduce me. You know, it's like I no longer had my first name. And it became so clear to me that I wanted my girls to grow up seeing me as a person. I wanted them to be inspired by me. I wanted them to be inspired by their dad because he's absolutely incredible. But I wanted them to be equally inspired by me. And I didn't want them to feel that mum is some kind of a 24-year-old younger trophy wife. None of this. I wanted them to connect with me for who I am. So this was my why when I started Drink Dry. And when things got tough, because they do, nobody's is managing, there's no balancing, you know. Look, I was 45 minutes late to our podcast, having tried to put 3 kids to bed. And, you know, today I had one really important meeting, then left, went to the hospital, had to cope with 3 kids going on IV drips because of their illness. Then luckily I'm wearing all black. I'm covered in like blood stains. I had to rush to another meeting. But this is what you do, you know, and you kind of like, you change your persona and go, right, now I'm Drink Dry Erika, and now I'm a mum Erika, and now I'm back at home, and now I'm talking to Karishma. And you just do your best. Sometimes you fail, but you just do your best. So there's no, I believe for me, there's no managing it. And I don't pretend that there is. And I don't tell others that I'm doing it well, or that these are my 5 secrets how I manage my life. None of that. I just do my best every day. Like, and some days are better than others, right? But it definitely took its toll. You know, it takes its toll on your marriage. It takes its toll on your parenting. I believe that you cannot do everything 100% every day. Some days I'm an excellent, epic mom. I'm 110%. But then something else suffers that day. I'm either a little bit of a rubbish wife or a little bit rubbish at work. I haven't answered any emails, or I haven't done something. Other days I'm brilliant CEO, like my team is super inspired and we are absolutely rocking out work, but I've missed bedtime at home that day, you know, and my husband took the kids to school that day. And then some other days I'm a great wife because I spent a whole day with my husband and we went to opera and we did something else, but then other things suffer. Right. So as long as you kind of keep that in mind, it's okay. But you need to be aware of the downfalls that it has.
I am gonna switch into the lifestyle aspect of Drink Dry now and ask you that changes did you see when you made the switch, and why should people consider making that switch to no alcohol?
Look, I think anybody who hasn't heard about Drink Dry, and if they went on our social media now and kind of looked at what we do and what we stand for, they will see that there's no negativity, and we don't preach and we don't do anything. Like, I wanted always to show the positive side of non-alcoholic drink. So our content is really fun and engaging. And the whole idea for me is that you can have a load of fun just without the alcohol. And my personal journey, I was never a huge drinker, but I loved parties and I loved socializing, and I love people to this day. You know, if a weekend comes and goes without at least 50 people passing through my house door, it wasn't a weekend. I don't feel full of energy like it. I need it. You know, it's my medicine.
Perfect, yeah.
You know, it's so for me, it's all about maintaining that. And when I made that switch from drinking alcohol weekly, you know, a glass of wine on a Monday, maybe go out with my girlfriends on a Wednesday and have a couple of cocktails, and then you have a couple of bottles of wine at the weekend. When I made that switch and I completely went teetotal, I genuinely felt physical improvement in how I felt physically. I just gained, firstly, sleep. I got much better sleep. So throughout the week, I would get to a weekend and I would be like I don't know, like a Duracell battery. I was so full of energy,
Yeah.
and I get superb sleep every single night without fail. I'd wake up and I'd be ready. Like I was like a toddler, like, you know, waking up at 6 o'clock and being like, let's start my day.
Yeah.
So therefore, I was like, okay, where do I put this energy? So I started exercising, I started running, I started going to like HIIT classes, made a bunch of new friends in completely different environment that I normally wouldn't have done.
Yeah.
So that was incredible. So not only was my body being healthier, my mental well-being was better and greater, because I found, not that I needed new friends, but my life was enriched by new people. My diet improved because I felt better, so I exercised, so therefore I wanted to eat better, and I was more conscious what I was eating. Then my skin improved, then my hair improved, and then voila, you know, I lost weight unintentionally without trying, and everybody was complimenting how great I look, how great my hair is, how great, you know, I'm full of energy, and etc., etc. So physically, it was just up, 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 and it kind of hasn't stopped. And as my life evolved, I think I've been completely alcohol free for at least 8 years now, at least 8 years, and it's just, I'm a mum to 3 really young kids. I went through 3 pregnancies, a lot of sleepless nights. I genuinely don't know how anybody could do that if they were drinking alcohol. I just don't know. So I feel like my physical well-being is amazing and improved, and you get mental clarity. There's a lot of clarity. You feel sharp, you feel focused. Even when you are tired, you feel that you can do things. And it's nothing like, only when people ask me, I go into this kind of like monologue of how amazing it is to be alcohol free. If people don't ask me, I don't tell them, because I don't want to come across as preachy. What I want them to see, I want them to see me at a party with a glass of what they might think is an alcoholic drink, but it's always non-alcoholic, having fun. I'm the last one to leave the party. I'm the first one to arrive. I'm the one who will get the most conversations in the night, and I leave in really good spirits. And that's what I want people to see and think, what is she doing? What is her secret? And when they ask me, I'm like, well, I don't drink alcohol. Haha, you know?
It's possible.
Yeah.
I connect every bit because I've not been much of a drinker. I'm that person who's tried it only because a friend said, and then, you know, backed off because I'd never had an interest. And I know every bit of what you just said. It has a huge impact on well-being, no doubt. And similar to what you said, there's no point being preachy about it, but at least raising the curiosity towards that, I think, is something really commendable.
But did you feel, I think two questions. Did you ever feel the pressure? Why you're not drinking?
No,
Like people, why? Why are you not drinking?
no. For me, it was just, I never had a taste for it, to be honest. Like, it never
But did
fascinated.
you feel pressure from others? Would others kind of like at a party or in a social gathering would be like, oh, Karishma, why are you not drinking? Come on, have a drink.
Yes, that's true.
Mm.
That's pretty much there in society today, I feel,
Do you
especially.
think it's changed over the last, let's say, 5 years?
Yes.
Has the pressure lessened? And it's kind of like, instead of, they're not asking you now why, or are they still?
Some of them do, but not as many.
Mm.
It's a trend that's changing, and that's why I mentioned that I have seen that kind of impact. And I've grown up here, so I've spent my college life here, and then I've moved
Yeah.
away for masters and come back. So I've seen myself go on from like that young 21-year-old or 18-year-old, and then come back to the same city, and I've seen that transition. So today it's not as much of a pressure as it used to be. Peer pressure used to be quite heavy in the past, but now I think people have started seeing through and being able to accept that, okay, this is also possible.
Mm.
There is an
I
alternative.
think it's so powerful, and I know, like, same as your experience, even 8 years ago there'd be a lot of why, and I'd always have to have a reason why, and then I was like, it's not that I don't need a reason. I was like, I'm just not drinking. But people would struggle to accept that and be like, but why, but why?
Exactly.
And now I feel, you know, whether I'm going to a dinner party or I'm going to a social gathering or a restaurant, and you say, I don't drink alcohol, there is very rarely a why.
True.
More often than not, it is, can I offer you a non-alcoholic drink? I'm
Yes.
like, yes, you can. Yes. It's a much better question when I tell you that I don't drink,
Yes.
and somebody says, oh, I have this, you know, it doesn't have to be anything from Drink Dry.
Yeah.
It most likely is. But if people say, oh, I have this particular drink, would you like to try it? I'm like, yeah, that's the right question to ask me, not why are you not drinking? And then the whole conversation just moves on. And you then,
Yes.
you know, you can talk about the product, you can ask, I don't know, it's a non-thing. It
Yes.
completely disappears. It loses its power.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of, I mean, we have the first, if I'm not wrong, we have a dry alcohol bar here. That's also
Yes.
just come up. And that was something, again, something very interesting when I saw that come up. I said, wow, this is evolution right here. Did you come across any significant, any one customer anecdote that showed the kind of impact that you delivered as a brand? Has there been any such memorable?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot. But some have been comical in a not necessarily in a good way, you know. I think, and those are also really important and impactful.
Yeah.
We once launched, oh my gosh, this was very comical. We once launched a product, and this is in the early days where we were really struggling to find good quality products. And there was a particular brand, there were two kind of like different flavors to it, and on its own, and the customer was completely right, you know, on its own, it was a non-alcoholic spirit, and on its own it was really difficult to understand for the consumer. It was really difficult to understand because you open a bottle and the smell was maybe off-putting.
Mm.
But when I tried the product, I tried it with this awesome guy, Raven, who was like a mixologist at the Hilton Hotel. And we made a load of cocktails with it. We made pina coladas, we made mojitos, we made old fashions, we made like a lot of different non-alcoholic drinks with this particular non-alcoholic spirit. And in the hands of a mixologist, this product was just magic. You know, the cocktails were mwah, like the flavors were there. It was just absolutely beautiful. And then we listed it on our e-commerce platform and we started selling it by itself without recipes because we were new as well. Like we, you know, we didn't have the manpower to create recipes. We didn't have an in-house graphic designer. So we were just selling these bottles. And I remember one day I got an email from a customer, and he said, and he went into a story, like he must have been a writer, and he wrote this almost like a paragraph, like a short story of how he was so excited one day to discover Drink Dry. And he ordered this, what looked a really promising bottle, and this bottle arrived, and he opened it, and it was so disgusting that it smelled like his teenage son's socks,
Oh my
and
God.
he physically had to go and bury it in the garden so it wouldn't offend anybody ever again. But honestly, the guy wrote it in such a charming, kind of like a funny way, that I couldn't help it. I read it and I called him and I said, look, I said, you were and you are my sounding voice right now in my head. I said, I was hesitant about listing this product. So right now I'm taking off the website. I'm absorbing the loss. I'm writing off the 300 bottles that I bought, and I'm not selling it to anybody ever again, because you had to go and bury it in your garden, you know? And again, and this was lesson learned in the early days, where I promised myself that if I am not 100% convinced on a product that I think absolutely, I know that anybody who buys this particular product, they will love it. Or if it's a little bit complicated to mix, I will make sure that we have a recipe with it. I will make sure that we do a reel on social media, that we're giving you all the tools to enjoy it. And to this day, you know, I've got bottles and bottles everywhere, at home, in the office, people sending us samples. They're trying to get listed on Drink Dry Store. And if it's not 100% yes, it's a no. So again, you know, an amazing lesson that I learned: trust my gut instinct, that my bar as a consumer is high enough and I need to keep it. Because if I benchmark it against that, I know that every one of my customers will be satisfied with everything that they buy.
Very true. I say this on my podcast as well. Somebody asked me the other day, she said, how do you choose your guests? I said, I don't know. I don't get into too many specifics. If I resonate, I'm sure somebody would resonate. So you just go
That's it.
with that feeling. Of course, another important aspect that you mentioned there is also customer feedback through that. I mean, to be able to take that feedback and partner almost with the customer and, you know, decide. I think that's a great commendable intent right there. Then tell me about what have been your learnings in terms of, because you have been involved right from the stage of sourcing, right? You have done that bit. What have been your learnings associated with that process?
I think the biggest learning I've had when it comes to customer service, and this is a very, you know, my customer is everything. If I don't have customers, I don't have business. I don't have anything. I have a bunch of products I have to write off. So keeping my customers happy is number one priority. And what I think I knew this, but it just became more evident to me that good customer service isn't when things go right for customer. Good customer service is when things go wrong for the customer, but you manage to turn it around to the point where they still think amazingly of you as a company, and they come back as a customer. That is what matters, because every single, you know, maybe not every single day, but things go wrong. You know, somebody in the warehouse forgot to pack a recipe card into the thing. I mean, we try to streamline our process. We work with amazing last mile delivery partners. We use automated systems. We use technology. We try to remove human error as much as we humanly can. But we are people. It's not AI that's working in the company. And maybe somebody sometimes sets the wrong price on the website. Maybe somebody puts the wrong anything, you know. Maybe a delivery guy, his van broke down, or somebody drove into the back of him. So those deliveries are being made today, you know, or they're going to be delayed.
Yeah.
So these things happen every single time. And it's how you manage it and how you turn it around for the customer, that they don't feel like this company is awful, they've let me down, that they think there was a circumstance which meant that they weren't able to deliver the best customer service, but they did everything they could to make it right for me and to turn it around for me. Therefore, they deserve my custom again. That is good customer services. And I think, you know, I'm really lucky and privileged that the ladies and the guys who work in the kind of back office, who manage our customer service, get that. They absolutely get that. They live and breathe it. And when they get an email or a message that isn't great, that something went wrong, it's they like it. It's great because they want to pick up the phone, they want to call that customer and genuinely say, I am so sorry this happened to you. What I'm going to do X, Y, Z. You know, can I do this? Can I do this? We're going to make it right for you, you know, and they do make it right, and the customer is happy, and it's kind of like all happy. I think that's been a really big learning that I kind of didn't understand before. I would say the second one would be people and hiring the right people. It took me a little while to learn to delegate and to learn to pass on, you know, because when you start a company, you are literally everything. You are your supply chain, you are your office manager, you are your HR, you are your order processing, you are your debt collector, you are your accountant, you are your marketing, you are everything from social media, you are responding to everything. And then as time goes on, you hire a social media manager. So you've got to let them put their stamp, like they're doing the job. If you're hiring a supply chain manager and he wants to bring in maybe a different shipping agent than you've been using because they can get you better pricing and they've worked with that person for the last 20 years, and you know, you're hiring them because they are better than you at that particular job. And this was something I was fortunate to learn early enough, that I need to hire people who are better than me in that particular role, because I need them to do that job a million times better than I could have ever done it. Ever, you know. My commercial director is just magic, you know, he's just fantastic with what he's got to do, and he's got to be better than me at that particular side of the business because I need him to be better than me. You know, my marketing manager is fantastic, phenomenal, creative, full of energy, and she's got to be better than me at marketing because that's her job. And I just need to make sure that my role is to inspire everybody and to continue making them feel part of a great journey, that we do have a purpose, that what we do matters, that we are creating something new, and keep it a happy workplace. And yeah, hiring the right people has meant everything. I think this is where that question you asked me about, you know, motherhood and business, and with hiring the right people, I've slowly, I've allowed myself to maybe take a step back sometimes, you know. For example, this week, my children have been sick. So I stayed at home for 3 days and I looked after my children. And I have a bunch of emails unanswered. And I know that my team, they've got it. You know, if anybody needs something, they'll ask me and I'll be available. But I was able to step back and look after my children and be 110% mom because somebody else is, they're holding it together. I will come back and we will make everything good again, but they're holding it together.
Yeah. What can I say? There's so much to learn from your journey. One question I have is,
Thank you.
most welcome. Tell me about starting up online. And this is my second last question to you. I know we are exceeding limits, which is to ask you about what were the 3 most immediate steps when it came to starting up online that anybody looking to start an e-commerce business can hold up as a guide, you know, just navigating that journey?
Oh my gosh, I think it's a lot harder than people think to build a successful online business. I think people think it's an inexpensive way to do it. Forget it. It's incredibly expensive. Mark Zuckerberg is getting very rich off everybody from advertising. To run a successful e-commerce business that is actually generating good revenue, generating money, it's really, really difficult because internet is this dark place that you need to know to type in www.drinkdrystore.com. I mean, how do you even get them to know? You need your paid media channel to work. You need your organic social media to work. You need your email newsletters to work. You need your influencer marketing to work. You need to make sure that your direct traffic from your PR is strong. All of this costs money. These are retainers to people you need to pay. This is actual money, the gifts that you're sending to influencers, the money you're paying to Meta for advertising. All of this is very, very, very expensive. And the mistakes that you make are this is what is most expensive. That if you make mistakes and you don't know what you are doing, that's when you can really kind of like fall flat, because you will continue to spend without getting the traffic to your website, without getting the conversion. So I don't know, advice. I was very, I think, fortunate from very early on that the person who joined me on particularly the e-commerce journey, she knew everything. So we were able to work with vendors, different partners, people doing different things, and not be taken for a ride by anyone. Because as soon as somebody started going, well, no, this is not possible, she'd be like, no, it is possible. Like, I can code myself. I know how to do this. I can do this. Like, it is possible. And this is how you do it. Oh, yes. Okay. We will do that. So you need somebody that you can trust, and somebody who can, if you don't know how to do it yourself, you need somebody who can help you on that journey, because otherwise the mistakes are really expensive, and you can end up losing way more money than you set out to do without ever recovering it, ever.
Yeah. And my last question to you, wrapping it up. I intend to publish this, of course, around World No Alcohol Day, because you are the one who introduced me to that through your newsletters.
Yeah.
So I intend to put it out during that time. I want you to tell me what exactly is going up on Drink Dry to look forward to in October.
Okay, so I think one of the biggest brands that have gone up in August, and this will be still a focus very much for the rest of the year, and Sober October is a fantastic time to try it. It's our Corona Zero. So the world's most loved Mexican beer, in a 0.0 version. And I tell you, we launched it on the 8th of August. And to date, we have sold the most that we've ever sold of any product in just under a month.
Yeah.
And the customer feedback has been phenomenal. We've not had one negative feedback on the liquid, on the product. The branding is beautiful. People know the product. They know the taste immediately. And it's just a lovely product. So definitely try out Corona Zero for Sober October. We are also launching Peroni Zero, so an Italian non-alcoholic beer. So that's for sure everybody's favorite to try. I'm really into kind of like aperitif style drinks. I went through a phase where I would have a glass of sparkling non-alcoholic wine. This would be my choice. And I'm really kind of like in the mood for the last 6 months for like a nice aperitif style drink. So whether that's your Negroni or like an Aperol spritz alternative. And it's so funny. You can definitely, it's reflected in our selection. So I think in the last 6 months, we've added 3. We had 1 and we've added additional 3, like non-alcoholic Aperol alternatives. So we have Liar's Amalfi Spritz, we have Wilfred's, and we have House of Babylon. So I think those are definitely ones to try. We have some other big brands that are coming out in 2024. So yeah, check out Drink Dry and see what else we've got coming.
Perfect. On that note, more power to you, Erika. It's been a lovely
Thank you.
conversation. It's not even been an episode, I feel. It's been a lovely conversation, and I'm
Thank
really
you. Thank you for your patience, honestly. And I know I was so late to our call, but thank you for your patience and for listening. Honestly, you're doing an amazing job getting people's stories out there. It's incredible. So, so grateful to you.
most welcome. Thank you so much for saying that. Means a lot to me. Thank you.